Along with Jake Udy, he is the author of Banned: How I Squandered an All-Star NBA Career Before Finding My Redemption, which will be available November 26th. We have the pleasure in welcoming Michael Ray Richardson onto Hoopsology. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Before we hop into the book, we have a bit of a tradition on our show. We talk about the hot topics within basketball, where we delve into basketball culture. What makes the game of basketball so great? So take this question any way you want it. What is your first or favorite basketball memory?
What makes the game so exciting? I think because it's so exciting, it's a lot of scoring. You see some unbelievable athletes. It's just an unbelievable game.
And can you just kind of take us into just the thought process behind the book? You working with Jake, just kind of you reflecting over your career and just how you wanted to present your story just to the public.
Well, what I wanted to do is I saw where there were some, other guys that was writing books about me. That was, I guess that they was getting all of the information from newspaper clippings. So I wanted to be the one to set the record straight, and it's coming directly from me. So now you are going to hear the truth and nothing but the truth from Michael Ray Richardson.
Michael, with that medium of newspaper, back in those times, I mean, was it easier to get by spreading misinformation and falsehoods like that?
Of course, there was a lot of stuff that was in the newspaper articles in some of the books that some guys wrote that wasn't even true. But what can you do about it? There's not really much you can do about it. So guys can write whatever that they want to write.
Yeah, it seems like also at the time there's less mechanisms in place. I mean, unless you outright go to the news about it, how are you going to fight back with
Ex-
what someone is writing about you?
Exactly. I mean, there's no way that you can fight back because what they'll say is that it's public information. And so you just leave it at that. So now
Hmm.
my book is coming directly from me. It's my story.
What would you like the readers to take away from your story, from reading the book, from this kind of all the misconceptions? What is the few takeaways from when they're done reading the book that you would like them to reflect on and just carry on from their lives as basketball fans, but also just life lessons as well?
Well, that we all have went through something in our lives, and there is a positive outcome on the other side if you don't give up. I mean, I'm sure there's not a person in this world that hasn't had any kind of personal problems or something tragic that have happened to them. And I want everybody to read this book and see that's not who I am. It was just a part of me at that time.
Can you go over just the 80s, just in terms of the game of basketball from just your college career and pro career, just in terms of how you were as a player as compared to maybe the state of basketball now? Like, he kind of give us a glimpse into just your feelings about the game, just how
Well,
popular college basketball was in the pros as well.
well, just to let you know that when I played in the NBA, there wasn't a lot of games on TV. There was one TV, which was CBS, and it was a delayed telecast. So there was no ESPN, there was no TNT, there was no NBC. There was one channel, and it was a delayed telecast. But the game has changed so much because back when I played, the game was played inside out. Now the game is played outside in. If you can't shoot from the outside, I don't think you can play in this here day and time. And but back when I played, our coaches used to always say, "Let's keep the big boys happy." So we throw the ball inside because that was a more high percentage shot. Now what they tell you is the more threes that you get up, is the more chances that you have to win. Which I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense to me.
Michael, you built a lot of close relationships over your career, both playing and otherwise and beyond. Um, do you feel like with less media exposure at the time, you mentioned the tape delay and the games being on one channel, was there a do you get the sense there was a stronger fraternity potentially between the players of the 80s and at the time that you played?
Well, it was a yes, because all we had was ourselves. You know what I mean? We didn't really have all the social media, all the TV channels where we played like different games on different channels. All we had was one game a week, and it was a delayed telecast.
And do you feel like with what you see, you have a great amount of experience coaching as well, and a storied coaching career. Um, how do you feel? Comparing when you came into the league out of college at Montana and what you saw and experienced. How do you feel that the modern player is set up nowadays coming into the league? Is it maybe a better preparedness for what's coming with success
Oh,
at
yeah.
basketball on a high level, or just
I
different
think
entirely?
I think everything is different. You know, when you coming in, what they would do when I came in back in the late '70s, early '80s, that what they do is they just put you into the fire. Now what they do is they kind of educate you, you know, early on where you know what to expect. You know, like back in the '80s, they just put you into the fire and you had to fend for yourself.
And do you mean in terms of like the day in day out grind of practicing and traveling, things like that, or can you elaborate on what you mean by like into the
J-
fire?
Just, just, just just the difference of being a professional athlete and being a college athlete. Because in
Hmm.
college, you know, you the people are there to kind of like to like take care of you. But when once you get into the pros, you're like on your own. You got to fend for yourself. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
No, totally makes sense. Michael, can you go over just your international playing career as well? I know now the international game has really grown in popularity with players crossing over, but back during the 80s and 90s, that was very more uncommon. Can you kind of talk about this state of international basketball, your experience just playing overseas?
Yeah, I think I made the right choice. I went over in 1988. Signed for 400,000. All the money was tax free, and they give you a place to stay, and they give you a car to drive. So, and then at that time, instead of playing 4 or 5 games in 7 days, you only play like one game a week. So that way you didn't have a lot of wear and tear on your body. But the game was a lot more physical over there because the guys were a lot slower and they did a lot more holding and fouling. But there was great players over there because they was really fundamentally sound. So it was a different game.
How was the camaraderie just with your international teammates? Was there a easy fusion between your teammates learning from your style and vice versa, or was there a clash there at first, just
No,
trying to
I
mold those
mean
different?
it was nice. I mean, guys got along well. There was a lot of respect. There was a lot of respect for me because I came over as a as a former 4-time NBA All Star, so I had a lot of respect when I got there. And then when they saw how hard I came over and I played, you know, I didn't have any problems.
Michael, was there any kind of like culture shock going and playing in Europe? Was it noticeably different than what you had experienced in the NBA, or did you find a similar sort of fan experience? I know there's a lot of intensity in the 80s and 90s. It seems I would say just by what I've viewed, more intensity than in the modern NBA. Was there, and we see some intensity left over in Europe. A lot of regional games are very, very hyped up and well attended, and the arenas are loud. What did you experience kind of difference between NBA and
I think that the fan base over in Europe is unbelievable. Like they go to the extremes. So I went to a team where we had a 6 year in a row losing season in Bologna. So my first year there, I won the Italy Cup. Then I won the Italy Championship. So like right away, our fan base it flipped. It was unbelievable. Like when we would go on the road, we would have maybe 2 or 3 thousand fans. So wherever we went, we had a hell of a fan base. So my 6 years there, I won like a Euro Cup. I won like 3 Italy Cups and an Italy Championship. So even to this day, I'm a legend there. It's unbelievable how much that the fans appreciate like what you have done for the city. It's unbelievable.
So I want to get your thoughts on the current game of basketball. A lot of NBA legends are criticizing just the reliance on the 3 point shot, and there's been low ratings to begin just this version of the NBA season. I just want to get your overall kind of perspective on the game. Do you think it's on the right track? Do you think there should be improvements made? Like, what are your overall thoughts on
Well,
kind of what we're seeing on a day to day
I think
basis?
this is what the NBA wants: a lot of scoring, and this is what the fans like: a lot of 3 point shooting and a lot of slam dunking. There's not a lot of defensive playing. Like back when we played, scores was in like the 90s or 110, 120. Now guys scoring 130, 140 points because the NBA wants a lot of scoring. So now what they want to do is they talk about analytics. So the first thing they say is if you shoot more threes, you have a much better chance of winning than if you don't shoot enough threes. Which I don't think that makes sense because if you're shooting only 20% from the field, it just doesn't make sense. I was always taught that you have a much better putting the ball in the basket if you're closer to the basket and if you're far away from the basket. So it all depends. I mean, this is what the NBA wants now. This is what the fans want. So this is what they got.
Is there any way to curtail to change that at all? Is there any improvements, or is it kind of they're on this track and they're going to have to kind of live with the
I think
consequences?
now they own this here track because of all the AAU basketball and all the one on one stuff, all the 3 point shooting. I mean, if you look at the game now, is you'll probably never see anybody posting up in the paint. Like back when I played, we had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, we had Bob Lanier, we had Kareem Akeem Olajuwon, we had Tim Duncan. We had guys who played directly in the paint. But if you look at the big guys now, big guys are playing out at the 3 point line, and it's not going to change.
Michael, I have a theory I'd like to run by you, especially with you being such an elite level defender in your career. I have always wondered why there is an aversion to sort of bring the rules back to a more equal balance, equal favoring of offense and defense. I feel like the increased pace and increased possessions equals increased number of reps, and that may be a reason that we see or at least perceive an increased injury rate in the league. Do you think that with defense and slowing down the pace, would that actually bring injury rate down potentially? Is there any sense in,
Can't
defense means injuries?
I can't figure out why there is so many injuries in the game today with all this medicine and stuff that they have now. Because back
True.
when we played, guys got hurt, but we very seldom get hurt the way these guys are getting hurt. Hamstring and fingers and ankles, and it's unbelievable. Like back when we played during our training camp, we would have 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the evening. Now these guys have an hour and a half of contact, and then come back in the afternoon, and all they do is shoot. So I don't understand how these guys get all these here injuries, and the game is not that physical. I
Yeah,
just don't understand.
you wonder if the less contact, doesn't prepare them for the game time scenario where there is contact. I don't know,
I think
just
that that's
speculating.
exactly what it is. That's
Mm.
exactly what it is. It's less contact, and then when once like the game starts, there's a lot of contact, and then guys get hurt. You know.
Do you think for the game of basketball to change, does it need to change from a high school level, do you think, all the way to the collegiate level? Do you think that this problem of just injuries and just with the way the game is with just the 3-point shot and lack of defense, it's creeping up from just a younger age and then manifesting itself over the years over a player's career, like
Well,
in
I
order to
think.
kind of curtail this problem?
Well, now I think it's coming starting in early at like the AAU, high school. All they really don't really teach a lot of defense. They teach nothing but offense. And so, like when the games get on the line and you start playing, defense, the game gets a little, a little physical. Then that's when guys get hurt. You know what I mean? So I
No.
mean, it starts from the the high school level, and it's not going to end because this is what they want. They want a lot of scoring.
I have one more question. If Matt, you have another question, go ahead. But I just want to get your thoughts, Michael, on name and likeness for college players, NIL. Just overall, your thoughts. Is it good for just these college players to get some kind of stipend and money from outside sources, or do you think it's hurting collegiate sports overall?
Well, these these here schools are making so much money off of these here kids. Why not let a kid earn some money? Because the schools are making so much money. You know what I mean? But I don't think that these kids ought to be able to pick and choose what school they go to. I think if you go to a university and you sign with them and you decide to go somewhere else, you should have to sit out a year. I don't think you should go like right away and be able to play because I think this takes the fun out of the game.
Yeah, totally agree.
Well said, Michael. I just am curious, just with bringing this book together, anything that surprised you along the way about writing this book?
No, I think that Jake was really easy to talk to. I think he did an unbelievable job. I mean, from the start to the finish. I mean, once you read it, you won't be able to put it down, and that's what Jake and I we wanted it. To once you pick it up, you won't be able to put it down until it's over. That's how good the book is.
Well, fantastic, Michael. Thank you very much for the time. Really appreciate it. Did you want to let our audience know any other projects you're working on or anything else you're up to these days, just besides the book launch coming up on November
Well,
26th?
that's it for like right now. But a friend of mine by the name of Otis Burks, we have a company called Ball Star Youth Camps, and we've been doing it for the last 14 years, where we've been having like free basketball camps for underserved kids all across the United States because a lot of these kids can't afford it. So our basketball camps are free.
No, that's wonderful. I think that's great for the game. You all doing that as well. Michael, appreciate the time. Truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.